The Ain't No Fang podcast. From Arizona Sports, Ain't No Fang.
Hello, everyone. Welcome into Ain't No Fang on Arizona Sports, our Diamondbacks podcast. I'm Alex Weiner. Good show today. We had Todd Walsh on as a guest because he was with the team every step of the way during just kind of a beast of a road trip. 9 games, starting in Toronto, then going to Colorado, then going to Chicago. They end up going 5-4 on that trip, losing 2 out of 3 against Toronto, winning 2 out of 3 against both Colorado and Chicago. And now the team is back home where they will be for a while. The Diamondbacks have a 10-game homestand. 3 against Miami, 4 against San Francisco, and then 3 against Kansas City. After that, they get to go to San Diego and Anaheim to wrap up the quote-unquote first half. That's when the All-Star break will kick in. But Diamondbacks right now, they're 3 games out of a wild card spot, sitting at 41-39. So we will talk to Todd about kind of what he saw on the road trip, just because, there was a lot going on and off the field, and some extracurriculars on the field, unfortunately, as well. So we'll get Todd's opinion and expertise on everything that he saw from the team, how they responded, and kind of the state of affairs. Todd Walsh with the Diamondbacks TV broadcast joining. Thank you, Todd, so much for taking a few minutes. I know it was a long road trip. It was kind of a beast of a road trip to go from Toronto to Colorado to Chicago. And you were there for every step of it, which is why I really wanted to have you on. I think there's a lot of ways to look at the trip. In one hand, you go up against some last place teams and you come back with a 5-4 record, which could look underwhelming. But, the amount of adversity this team also faced in that time, and it just feels unrelenting at this point. What did you take away from what you saw from the team when you take the trip in and of itself as a whole?
I haven't really done that yet, but in preparing for tonight's pregame show with Mark Grace on our D-backs TV coverage, I'm going to present to Mark my counter argument to the people that were demanding the 7-2 road trip. Because if you take game 1 in Toronto and you execute on 2 pitches in the 9th inning, that's a win. And they played really well in game 1. I wasn't as despondent about how they lost. I know it's a familiar theme and you hate it when the closer just doesn't get the job done, but they were that close. Okay. So then I go to the final game in Chicago, and I know I don't play this game very often, Alex. I promise you I don't. But I could tell that I wasn't the only one that did this because of Torey Lovullo's reaction when I asked him on the postgame show. But hypothetically, if Zack Gallen has a shutdown inning in the first inning after they were up 2-0 with a chance to just put their teeth into it and stomp on the White Sox, who were just awful, maybe that game goes a different way. And he said, "That's funny. We were just saying that in my office before you walked in." Those are 2 wins. That's how I'm looking at it. And it's really hard for me to look at series and say, sweep. I only think about sweeping series when you're down to magic numbers being in single digits. That's how I look at it. I just say you win 2 out of 3, you win 3 out of 4, you're winning series. There's no way in the world I look at 3 games in Denver, Colorado at Coors Field when it's 98, 99, and 100 degrees saying, sweet. It's just not going to happen. So that's how I look at it. I know that's that's an answer filled with ambiguity, but that's my life. So that's how I look at it. There was some success, but I also feel like you just said it was unrelenting. The adversity just doesn't stop. I can't believe what I saw on that trip. I still can't wrap my head around it. I can't. So I'm okay with it right now. That's my answer.
Yeah. I mean, the team that left Chase Field a couple of weeks ago is not the same team that's coming back to Chase Field for this. You lose. Gabby didn't play on the road trip, but he went on the IL while they were in Toronto. You get the bad news that I think a lot of people were expecting with AJ Puck, that he's down for the season, having already gotten the surgery. Corbin Carroll gets hit on the hand. Eugenio Suarez gets hit on the hand. Ildemaro Vargas breaks a foot. I mean, it's just unbelievable. And then you have the situation with Ketel in Chicago on that second night in the rain, and comments coming from a fan, and now just when you were there and you're in the dugout and you're seeing these guys afterwards, what kind of reaction, or how did you see guys respond to seemingly every single moment anything could have gone wrong, even as they were playing for the most part pretty well and still winning a lot of these games?
I think I asked Torrey that question earlier in the trip. I can't remember which injury it was. It may have been when Gino Suarez got hit on the hand and he was in so much pain. I think that was it, but it could have been even earlier in the trip. I said, how, because I always ask him about those kinds of moments. And he's always very candid. And he said, it took us a couple of innings. And you can see it. You can clearly see it. Like, you got to be kidding me. These guys are so used to having cameras trained on them at every single second. So you see it on the mound when they're covering their face with their gloves, so you can't read their lips. They know that if something happened in the field, the cameras are trained to zoom right into the dugout. So they try to play it off. But there's a couple of times where you look at them and it's like they just got a punch to the face, and it sort of takes the machine a minute to get going. I have not seen them throw in the towel and walk in the room afterwards, and you just kind of know something. I still don't feel that yet, because with injury comes opportunity. The Corbin Burns story. I mean, I don't even know where to start, but I don't see them waving the flag yet. So I still think that the theory that when the chain gets shorter, it gets stronger still applies here. And I'm very curious how they'll be when we get to the trade deadline, when decisions have to be made. So right now, I feel like they're still climbing into the ring going, okay, cut me, Mick, cut me. That's how I feel.
Yeah. You mentioned that trade deadline. It's about 5 or so weeks, a little less than 5 weeks away. They get 3 against Miami, which is part of this, run of games against last place teams, although Miami is no longer a last place team. They overtook the Nationals for 4th in the NL East, and they're playing pretty good ball right now. And then after that, it's Giants. That's a team you're chasing. It's Kansas City, who made the playoffs last year and not having a great year this year. And then it's San Diego, another team you're chasing, and then Anaheim, who's back to 500 again. And then it's the All-Star break. I feel like this is a stretch where I don't know if we're going to know what direction they're going in by the All-Star break, but it does feel like the kind of stretch where you can really get a good idea of it if things go really well or really poorly. And, there's obviously the, stuck in the middle possibility that, maybe is most likely. But to your point where, it creates some opportunity. We've seen Ryan Nelson jump back in the rotation and look great. And he's really run away with pretty much every opportunity he's gotten over the last couple of years. It's been great to see. Jake McCarthy is somebody who's going to have a huge role on this team for the time being until Corbin Carroll gets back. And after having such a good year last year, after such a slow start this year and going down to the minor leagues, what did you take away from kind of catching back up with him when he got back to the team in Chicago?
It's interesting you bring that up. I sensed something. I'm not quite sure what it was, but Jake's he's a happy-go-lucky, jovial guy. He'll always, spend time with the media. There's an edge to him right now. I don't think he was. I think he was angry that he went down. He was angry at himself. He said to me just the other day in Chicago, no one had to explain to me that I had to be sent down. Think about that. A guy that's established himself, I thought, at the major league level. So he doesn't want to go back down, but there's something that he's carrying right now, and I just want to see it explode at the plate. When he made the catch, there was a glimpse of the Jake McCarthy who enjoys the game, is not afraid to show it. He smiled. He looks at Pavin Smith and he flaps his glove because he was using Pavin Smith's glove. There are those moments, but I think there's a little fire burning right now within him. And he knows that this is another opportunity. And how many more do you get? And he's not like every athlete now. They're tuned into everything. Alex, he hears he hears his name in just about every trade rumor 12 months out of the year, right? And he doesn't want to leave this place. So man, he could be a game changer for 2 or 3 weeks. You know that. He can carry a team. He's that kind of a guy. And he knows that he's part of that chaos scene when he gets on base. So he's acutely aware of that. I really want to see him do it. He's just taking a lot of punches, but he can punch back.
Yeah, some guys just play aggressive, right? And, when they're on the bases, they look to take every advantage. And he's a guy who is not going to crush the ball 100 miles an hour every single time, but he, when he's at his best is spraying the ball to all different fields, he's getting on base and he's kind of setting up guys to drive him in any means necessary. And that's kind of, a version and an element this team could really need because their fastest, most dynamic player is not going to be with them for a while. Kind of going back to some positives. Obviously, we don't know the extent to which the injury from Gino is, and that's obviously going to be a huge concern. But watching him, Cattell, and Naylor hit on this trip in particular, they were must-see TV at-bats.
Yeah, they were. Yeah.
Did you kind of get that feeling when they were up to the plate, especially early, kind of in the middle of this road trip, even the Colorado series in particular?
I could probably interview Gino Suarez after every game. That's how remarkable this is. And Josh Naylor has been playing with so many nagging little injuries that, as I'm sure you figured out, he doesn't want to talk to you about. Yeah. And yet he's still on base and he's still standing at second. He's in runners and he's a runner in scoring position. See, it should be on the back of his jersey. So to see those guys do that, it's just a reminder of what. So put yourself in the position of the other team that's sitting down doing their hitters meetings, and look at what they're dealing with. That's why I'm not giving up hope on this group yet, because I know that on paper this team is more than capable, and those guys that you just mentioned are a pain in the you-know-what to every pitcher that's out there. So yeah, must-see TV. That's so true. And I talked to Gino the other day. He was having a conversation with Ozzie Guillen before the game, and I just looked at him and he knew that I wanted to talk to him, but he had to go. They're getting ready for the anthem. And he just looked at me and I looked at his hand and he said, "It's sore." And then I saw his hand and I went, "Oh my God." I mean, the swelling was just massive. So they're just hoping that obviously swelling goes down so they can take a closer look at it. I'm very curious to see today when I get to the park what the story is with him. But if that's another blow, I don't even know if I can, like God, I'm not going to let myself go there. No, he's in. Okay, we're not going to go there.
Yeah, you still got a game to play today, and you never want to project what the straw that breaks the camel's back will be, but what he means to that team in the middle of the lineup and in the clubhouse too. You just hate to see even more. You want to watch the best players play in any team, this team in particular. I mean, it's just been pretty brutal. One more question for you before I have a short trivia question I wonder if you get. But first question is you watch Zac Gallen. You mentioned it earlier, a really good, clean first inning from Gallen and a good game from him. And they probably win that series with a sweep. What do you make of just how, what's he like, after those couple starts he made both in Colorado and in Chicago? And what do you make of what you're seeing with him? Because, we hear it all the time. The delivery doesn't feel right. He's still searching for what he felt like in the beginning of 23 and the end of 22. And it's getting towards the middle of 25 now. And he just can't seem to quite find what he's looking for.
Well, that's bottle behind me, and he can't find what he's looking for. And he just said the word, and it's searching. And you just feel it. I mean, he's always very candid and very introspective. I did not talk to him in Chicago, his getaway day, and there are other issues that were going on that I was still putting together with the Cattell story. But I talked to him the previous start and asked him about what's absent. Not about the walks. That's a whole different thing to me. It's the ability to have the knockout blow, to get to two strikes and kick the door down and end the inning or end the moment. And that's the one thing that I don't see. I mean, we've talked about him over the years, nibbling in those situations, or maybe sometimes, outthinking himself, and maybe that's there, but there's something that's just absent right now. We saw it. There's been a couple of starts this year where, I actually asked him one day, and maybe it was at Yankee Stadium. I just said, was this the best? And we can still go back to games in San Francisco, et cetera, over the years. But it is something that's missing. And I feel for him because here's a guy that's in a situation, it's his contract year, and this is a big moment for him. And Corbin Burns is down, and the closers are down, and everyone's pointing to Zack Gallen. And let's be honest, if this team is going to be in the postseason, Zack Gallen, if he's even here, is going to have to put together an unbelievable second half of the season. Is he capable of doing that? Yep, he is. So, but he's a big part of the mystery of it all, isn't he? I mean, I don't have an answer to it. Obviously, he doesn't yet.
Yeah, it's hard to imagine they get to where they want to get to.
Yeah.
If the top of the rotation, the head of the snake is, still trying to find what it's looking for. And you're right. We've seen it before, and we've seen him this season do it in spurts. We've seen him do it in spurts in games and then lose something late, and then the stat line doesn't look as good as he pitched. We saw that in Cincinnati and St. Louis. So, yeah, that's sort of the last piece, is just him being able to put it together consistently. Todd, I can't thank you much enough for this. I do have one quick trivia question for fun, just because the Diamondbacks are playing the Marlins. So I wanted to ask you, see if you can get this. Who's the only player with 1,000 at-bats for both the Diamondbacks and the Marlins? Because there's only one.
Wait, clarify that again. So 1,000 at-bats.
1,000 at-bats for both Arizona and for Miami/Florida.
Wow, all I have in my head is Anibal Sanchez. I don't know. I have no idea. It's too early in the morning. Help me with
Fair
that.
enough. The answer was Martin Prado.
Oh, man, I remember him. I used to enjoy watching him play. I'm sorry I failed you on that.
That's okay.
Can I tell you
out of nowhere? But
can I tell you a quick Florida Marlins story?
Sure.
It was Florida then. So they had the no-hitter, and I was back then. We had to wear suits and ties, and there had been 3 rainstorms throughout the course of the day. I got soaked in one of them. The humidity was obscene through the second one. I was on my 3rd shirt, and I had talked to my producer, and it was a bright summer shirt, a goofy shirt. And I said, look, I don't think we're going to win this game. I'm not going to be on camera. Don't worry about it. I can't put my suit back on. It's soaked. My 2nd shirt is soaked. This is the one I was going to wear back to the hotel. Yeah, don't worry. And then they get no hit. Now I've got to go out and interview him. And our camera is down, so they turn around and shoot me from the center field camera so they can see the whole shirt. And then I find out, hey, they took your interview and put it on Sports Center. So when I got into the car with my producer to go back, my new boss called me and said, burn that shirt, please. And I love the shirt. It was awesome. But I got stuck wearing, like a Tommy Bahama welcome to the summer shirt, interviewing a guy that just threw a no-hitter. That's my story. I hope that distracted from the fact that I didn't get the Martin product. Man,
it's a great distraction from that. Do you still have the shirt?
I can send you a picture of it. Yeah. I don't wear it anymore, but I have it. Yes.
That's fantastic. All right, Todd, thank you so much for taking a few minutes, and we'll see you over at the ballpark later today. Okay.
Yeah, thank you. And obviously, you do a fantastic job. I love reading and watching what you do. You have a unique gift, and it wears well with the sport of baseball. It's not an easy sport to cover. And I do want to say to Diamondbacks fans, when Ketel Marte takes the field tonight or comes to the batter's box, I hope you let him know, because it's about more than just baseball. There's something to this moment here tonight, and it would be great to let everybody know that we get it here in Arizona. And I think that's going to happen.
Yeah, it's been great to see the reaction online to all of that from Diamondbacks fans, and you did a great job asking the right questions to
it was hard.
Geraldo.
Thanks. I know he would have done the same. Thank you. I appreciate it, man. Thanks for having me.
Thanks so much to Todd Walsh. That was fantastic. For all of his coverage and hopping on here for a few minutes. Just a few more notes before we wrap up here. Just a few kind of laundry list items to get to. Unfortunately, one of them is another injury situation, because the Diamondbacks AAA team, the Reno Aces, placed Jordan Lawler on the injury list with a hamstring injury. That happened on Thursday evening. So, another line of defense potentially. We don't know what's going to go on with Gino. We can only hope for the best, but for now, Lawler is not going to be available to potentially take some of those reps, which is really unfortunate, not only just for him and as he continues to play, but also timing-wise for the team especially. Ketel Marte is a finalist to start the All-Star game for the National League. Again, it looks like he's going to have a pretty decent advantage as the league is doing. It's a fan vote that picks 2 finalists from each position, 6 outfielders for each spot. 2 for each spot, I should say. And so the Diamondbacks right now, they have Ketel Marte as a finalist for second base. He will be competing with Tommy Edman in a head-to-head fan vote for the starting spot. I like Ketel's chances there. While Corbin Carroll just missed out on the cut as the 7th outfielder. He was just behind Juan Soto for 6th. And then Eugenio Suarez just missed the cut behind Max Muncy for the 2nd spot as a 3rd baseman. That does not mean they won't get picked for the All-Star team. It just means they're not contender to start, but reserves are picked by player polls and the commissioner's office. And so just because only one Diamondback made the finalists for starters, that doesn't mean only one Diamondback is going to make the All-Star team. Obviously with Carroll, and we'll see what happens with Suarez. Injuries are going to play a part in whether or not they're available for the All-Star game altogether. And finally, just a couple of notes on this upcoming series against Miami. The Marlins are riding a 4-game winning streak going into this, so it's not sort of one of those, last place team down in the dumps right now. They're 34-45. They overtook the Nationals for 4th place in the division. And it's interesting with the pitching matchups because the Diamondbacks are going to see Eury Perez, who kind of took the league by storm a little bit as a rookie in 23. Missed all of last season and is only making his 3rd start back off the injured list. Sandy Alcantara, who has a 6.69 ERA right now, which is not what you'd expect, but he's pitching better of late with 7 earned runs in his last 23 innings pitched. And then they'll get Cal Quantrill. So it's an interesting series. Again, for the Diamondbacks, it's like, a sweep or bust. That's not really how anybody looks at it at this point. But if they can continue to stack series wins going into the All-Star break, they'll put themselves in a pretty decent position. As I mentioned earlier, they're only 3 games out at the end of the day. There's still 2 games above 500. It's a critical stretch for them. So, and a lot of it will be at Chase Field. So thanks so much for listening and watching Ain't No Fang. We will have full coverage of this homestand on Arizona Sports. So again, thanks so much.